I suspect the way that the world is currently teetering on this enormous pile of debt, these currencies could fail one after the other in very quick succession. And all of that chaos and all of that panic will go into things like gold. It won't exclusively be gold, but there is change afoot in the gold market, which I believe to be a step on the way to reintroducing gold into the monetary system as an anchor. Gold price is going to be a rapid decline in the value of the dollar as people dump it because they finally realize that there isn't an alternative to the dollar. We're not going to be presented with one. We need to get out of this while we can and before other people do.
Gold bugs pay close attention because Grant Williams just dropped insights that could redefine the entire monetary system. In his latest interview, he warns that gold is no longer just moving with equities and bonds. It's breaking free, signaling the first steps of a return to the global monetary stage. Central banks are buying relentlessly, correlations are collapsing, and the dollar's trust is cracking. Grant believes we're in the gradually phase right now. But when the suddenly moment hits, the world could witness a rapid devaluation of major currencies, with gold, and maybe silver, exploding higher. Forget speculation. This is about survival of wealth in a system drowning in debt. Stay locked in, because what Grant reveals here might be the clearest sign yet that the financial world is on the edge of a reset.
Gold bugs are always looking for evidence that the gold is coming back into the monetary system. That's a steady state for them, and I get it. I don't think when it happens you'll need to look. I think it'll be very, very obvious. And what we've seen in the last year, I believe, is the first signs of that. We've started to see gold act independently of equity markets and bond markets, and the correlations that we've seen hold pretty firm. Not always, obviously, because that's impossible, but they've held fairly steady for 40, 50, 60 years. Those correlations are breaking down. The buyers of gold have been enormously steadfast, and most of them have been central banks. So there is change afoot in the gold market, which I believe to be a step on the way to reintroducing gold into the monetary system as an anchor. It won't be a choice, because the one thing that having a gold standard does, it handcuffs politicians from spending money they don't have. So it will never be a choice to implement it. You know, when the gold standard was the norm for a couple of hundred years, the periods in time where the world was off the gold standard were temporary. So when they suspended the gold standard, it was always with the intention of going back on it again. This time has been very different. Nixon suspended temporarily convertibility of the dollar into gold in August 1971. It was never meant to be temporary, and the further we've got away from it, the bigger a stretch it now seems that we'd ever go back there again. So people are not thinking about it. They've gotten way too used to being able to spend and promise and spend and promise and spend to ever voluntarily give that up, because they've realized that's what gets them elected and keeps them in office. So gold will at some point force discipline upon central bankers and treasury officials around the world, probably after the bond market begins the job. But if you look closely, you can see signs that process is underway. It will to quote the famous Hemingway line, it will happen gradually at first, then suddenly. I think we're in the gradually phase now, and it can be so gradual that unless you're actually looking for it, you don't see it. But I think if you are a gold bug and you are looking for it, or have been looking for it, then what you're seeing now is the first concrete sign. I think you might have been hopeful in previous periods when you've seen, based on the gold price, but this is not just about the price of gold. This is about the flows of gold, the nature of the buying, the identity of the buyers. There are a lot more parts to this that make it far more likely that this is the beginning of a return to the monetary system. It's going to be difficult. That's going to be difficult the way things are at the moment. I don't think there's an awful lot of trust in the dollar at all at the moment. I think if there were a viable alternative to the dollar, then we would really understand how well it's trusted, and people would vote comprehensively to move away from the dollar, but there isn't a viable alternative as yet. That's part of the reason why, if we see gold re-enter the system, that's why you could see some extraordinary moves to the upside in price. And again, if we go back to what we said earlier about putting gold at the center, it's not going to be a rise in the gold price. It's going to be a rapid decline in the value of the dollar as people dump it because they finally realize that there isn't an alternative to the dollar. We're not going to be presented with one. We need to get out of this while we can and before other people do. You will see a massive depreciation in that, and that will be reflected in gold. Now, people will say, yes, but the euro may go first and the yen may go first, and that's perfectly true. I've got no argument with that. But I think the idea that the euro will go first, and then 6 months later the yen will go, and then maybe a year later, the Chinese yuan will go, and then the British pound. I suspect the way that the world is currently teetering on this enormous pile of debt, these currencies could fail one after the other in very quick succession, and all of that chaos and all of that panic will go into things like gold. It won't exclusively be gold, but gold is the one proven solution to this problem, where people can look back over hundreds, thousands of years of history and see that it solves this problem. Other people will tell you Bitcoin will do the same thing. The future will illustrate that. I don't know, because I can't look backwards and say, yes, it does. So maybe Bitcoin will perform similarly. We'll find out, I suspect.
What's your view on Bitcoin, Grant?
I don't have one, to be honest, Greg. It's not something I spend any time really worrying about. I understand the reasons behind it. I understand why people value it. I understand it all. I do. And I don't wish Bitcoin any ill. I don't hope it goes to zero. I hope everyone that owns it gets wealthy. But as my friend Tony Deaton says, it's not suitable for me. So I choose not to spend my time worrying about it. Gold has provided that solution for me for 25 years. It continues to do so. And at some point, I fully expect not to want to own my gold and want to own something else instead, at which point I'll exchange the gold for whatever that other thing may be. Yeah. But for right now, I don't need Bitcoin. I have gold, and it does the job for me. Maybe not. We don't know. I mean, if you go back 4,995 years and tell me what would have happened if you had your gold and you said, "Don't worry, guys, this is the answer. It's going to be fine."
That's fair point.
People would have been skeptical then too. We just don't know, and that's why I say very deliberately for Bitcoin, it's not suitable for me. I understand the argument for it. I don't get into the weeds in it, because it's time consuming, and I've got other things I want to devote my time to. But I do understand it, and I sympathize a great deal. But for me personally, I don't see the track record that I can point to that gives me as high a degree of confidence as I have in gold as to how it will perform in times of different types of financial and societal stress. That's all. Yeah, look, absolutely right, and it may be, but if you're speculating in Bitcoin because you think the price is going to go up, that's fine. If you are like me, your number one priority is to protect your purchasing power and maintain your savings, I'm not comfortable enough with putting those irreplaceable savings into Bitcoin. I'm just not. And so, so I won't do that. I won't take that risk with capital that I can't afford to lose. I will take the risk of owning gold with it because I can sleep at night knowing that, okay, here's how it performs to deflation, inflation, war, crisis, whatever you want. I can look at an analog in history and say, okay, I've got a pretty good sense of how this is going to perform. And it's fine to have speculative capital in something that you're not sure, but you think might perform extremely well, just not irreplaceable savings. That to me is a grave mistake.
Grant Williams just painted a chilling yet eye-opening picture of where gold, silver, and the dollar may be headed. The signs are clear. History is rhyming, and the shift is already underway. If you found value in his perspective, make sure to like this video, share it with others who need to hear it, and subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to hit the bell icon so you never miss critical updates on gold, silver, and the global economy. The gradually phase may already be behind us. The suddenly could arrive at any moment.